If you want to get your audience going in the comments, bro, just ask them, do you think a home is an asset? And they're going to go nuts in the comments because I'm telling you, a home is a liability and only a liability. And it should not be the first thing people buy. It should be, you should not buy a home until you have about $10 million in net worth.
All right, guys, welcome to Financial Freestyle here on Yahoo Finance, and I'm your host, Ross Mack. Now, look, guys, no matter where you are in your journey, you can never stop learning. And that's why I'm talking to some of the biggest GOATs, and today is no different. This next guest literally needs no introduction because he's a GOAT, literally one of the GOATs. Grant Cardone, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Ross, hey, thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate you taking the time to share our conversation with your audience.
Man, I'm honored that you're here. So we're going to really kick this thing straight into it, right? One, congrats on all your success. But when it comes to breaking down the 10 times mindset, if you could break that down into maybe 3 daily habits that our guests could actually start doing to actually make their lives better, what would that be?
10X is a multiplier. It's a concept of, we've all learned how to add and subtract. We haven't learned how to multiply. The middle class and poor people know how to add. Most people don't know how to start multiplying and dividing and how to break stuff up so that you can accomplish real goals and dreams. I mean, let's face it, I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, a refinery town. You grew up in South Side of Chicago, and nobody there talking about multiplying.
Mm-hmm.
Multiplication and division is too complicated. You could go to Wharton where you went to school, bro, and you still don't know how to multiply.
That's
so
a fact.
Multiplication. I taught my kids this. I said, look, man, the numerical code goes like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once you figure out those first 10 numbers, and it starts with 0, all you got to do is learn how to add zeros. Yeah. So once you get to 9, you need to skip to 90. You get to 90, you don't need to go 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, but you need to skip to 900. And that's the 10X rule. The 10X rule basically is a multiplier. Once you get one customer, the goal is to get 10. Once you get 10, you need to get 100. You're scaling your business, right? Your stairway to heaven, man. Stairway to the bank.
I love it.
And you worked on Wall Street. These Wall Street guys at the top of the food chain. I'm not talking about the sales guys in between, the receptionist and the president of the company, Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon knows how to multiply. Mm-hmm. He don't add a company. He doesn't add a customer. He buys entire ecosystems, right? They make like BlackRock. BlackRock is going to go acquire a $1 trillion company. They're not going to build another $1 trillion business. So that's what I would tell people, like if you're starting right now, you're getting started. Let's say you have nothing. I grew up with nothing. I started with nothing. Donald Trump was given a great launching pad. I didn't have that. I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a dad to teach me. I didn't have connections. I didn't have credit. I had no money. I had no direction. Mm-hmm. That's how I grew up. And so I'm starting from 0. I was really negative 40,000. I'm 25, 23 years old, negative 40 grand. Had no clue what I was going to do. College did not help me at all, by the way. I finished college with an accounting degree, couldn't get a job in accounting. That's not like a freak story, by the way. Almost 50% of the people that go to college today do not work in their career. Their career is not connected to their education. And this was me, dude. No money, no direction, no guidance, didn't know what I was going to do. End up in a sales job. That's the only job I could get. And the first thing I learned is if you don't like it, you need to get great at it. Don't throw it away. Don't say, oh, this isn't for me. You need to figure out how to get great at that before you quit it. Because if you just quit everything you don't like, you're going to quit everything.
I love that. I love that. And so as we're thinking about, right, multiplying, I think a lot of it is like, one, sometimes people are also setting the bar too low, right? And if they failed, they didn't expect it would take that long to get there. And so when we talk about, because obviously you're a billionaire in the real estate space, so I love to, educate the audience on that. And so the average person, when they're thinking about starting out in real estate, they're looking small, right? Oh, maybe a single family home. Let's try to do a fix and flip. But sometimes you actually say that small thinking is what could actually make you fail. But in fact, it's actually safer to pursue bigger deals. Help us understand that.
Yeah, well, so this goes back to this getting started piece, right? Like, let's say you're like, oh, I want to own, I want to buy a house, but I don't know anything about houses. Good. Well, you got to figure out how to get great at stuff. Nobody is gonna be good at anything in the beginning, and if you just do the stuff you're good at, let's say you're athletically um, endowed. Well, good, man. So you're perfect for the NBA or the NFL. Okay, guess what? That's a 5-year career. I will
Hmm.
have 20 of those careers in your lifetime, 20 of those. And all of them will pay more than your 5 years will.
Hmm.
Because for every ball player could have been me. And by the way, you could have skipped 5 or 6 or 8 years of injuries and made way more money. Now, yeah, you got to wear a Yankee uniform or Lakers uniform and you got to be a ball player, but most of those ball players want to be me today. They don't want to be them. So I would just tell you, like, you guys got to think bigger. You got to think bigger than 5 million. Okay, like I want to be a ball player and I'm gonna make 5 million. I'm gonna buy mama a house. No, you don't need to think like that. You need to think like, I'm gonna own the team. I'm gonna buy the neighborhood. Okay, see, the thinking's much bigger. Whatever it is, I'm a salesman in a car dealership. I need to think not about selling 30 cars. I need to think about owning 30 stores. Okay. Now, your listener right now is going to be like, yeah, but this, I'm telling you guys, the hack, the trick God played on us is he gave us all this potential and then he tricked you. He tricked you into thinking you couldn't, but he left this little light inside of you that said you could. And everybody's got it, by the way, Ross. Everybody, every human being I've ever met. I've met tens of millions of people in my career. They all talk about, I know I have something in me, but I keep turning it off. I keep denying it. And despite however you were brought up, right? Everybody has this little thing. I'm meant to do something special. Maybe ask your audience, to throw in the comments. Were you meant to do something special? The answer is going to be yes. I've never
Hmm.
had somebody tell me no.
Mm.
And the next question is, are you living up to that specialness? See, this is the story of my life right here. I knew I was somebody special. And then I didn't do anything special because I was thinking too small, bro. I grew up in Lake Charles. It was a refinery town, a bunch of small thinkers.
Yeah.
Come to the barbecue this weekend, come hang out this weekend. Let's go have a drink. Prices are too high. Everything, all the think was too small.
Yeah.
Money won't make you happy. Okay, maybe not. So I would just tell everybody the biggest mistake I've made in my career. I own five or six companies that are valued somewhere between $7 and $10 billion. Like I didn't even hear about $1 billion till I was 50 years old. Never even thought it was possible. Didn't even think with it.
Hmm.
Everyone is thinking too small. Okay. Like it is better to think big, giant. I mean, massive big, 10 times bigger than you're thinking. Pick any goal, simply multiply it by 10 and figure out how to do that. And you're going to fail, by the way.
Hmm.
You're going to fail on the 10x goal, but you were going to fail on the 1x goal too. You're just going to fail a little closer and a little bigger with the 10x goal.
So you know what I love about what you're saying is like exposure is the greatest teacher. And I always say that. And so coming from a small town in Louisiana, right? Something had to trigger for you to now say, oh wow, I can think bigger. Like what was that turning point? Because there are a lot of people that might be watching this and might not even think, right? They're not even exposed to Yahoo Finance or exposed to you. But like, what was it? Because you didn't grow up with social media, right? Like it was something that triggered for you to even change an entire mindset shift to allow you to think even bigger. Because a lot of people are in survival mode and the idea of being able to 10x a goal, still that goal is too small. They might need to 100x it because they
Yeah.
aren't even exposed to what it is. But what was that trigger, that turning point in your life that others
Dude,
could
there
actually
was,
learn from?
yeah, they're in every room. They're in every room you walk into and you hit a light switch and the lights come on. I'm like, fuck, who did that, man? You
Yeah,
just got to look, man. You got to look for God. You're not going to see God if you don't look for him.
I
You
like
got to
that.
look. Okay. I lived in Lake Charles. There was this bridge. This bridge went over this water. I'm like, dude, somebody built that bridge, bro. I got these little problems in my life. I can't figure out how to make an extra $500 a month. And somebody built a damn bridge. Just pay attention. Look. Okay. The car dealer, Navarra, Billy Navarra, he owned, I don't know, 6 or 8 or 10 car dealerships. the doctor that built the house with a swimming pool, and they had a ski boat, and they went skiing on the weekends. We didn't have that, but they did. I'm like, how did they get that? Now, my mom gave up on it, and you might be able to relate to this, and your audience might. Money won't make you happy. He's a doctor. You can't have that. Okay. Just because they got money doesn't mean they're happy. I'm like, bro, we ain't happy, and we ain't got any money. These two things, happiness and money, should not be considered in the same conversation. They have nothing to do with one another, any more than water has something to do with eating food. What don't eat because you don't have water. What does that got to do with money? Doesn't make you happy? I'm like, I need money. I need money, and I want to be happy. And I don't know anybody that doesn't have money that can truly be happy. Because if you don't have money and you're happy, you're psychotic. Because dinner costs money. So the thing is, the people you're surrounded by are framing up. They're influencing what we're considering is possible. If you've ever seen a big home or a private plane fly overhead, people look up, it gets your attention, and the first question everybody asks is, dude, how did he do that?
Yeah.
Who is that, and how did they do it? Or you see a big house on the ocean. Who lives there, and how did they do that? And I think that's the thing that people need to start asking themselves. Every time you walk into a room, flip the switch. Every time you see something that you don't have, who is that, and how did they do that? Because they're regular people. These are normal, regular people. These are not gifted people. They're not any more intelligent than me or you.
Amazing point, man. We're getting nothing but gems from the Grant Cardone. But look, guys, we got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have even more. I want to take literally everything you said and actually create a scenario and put it in practice, right? So a person at home, right? Clearly the cost of living, wages aren't keeping up with, the cost of living, and the American dream is getting further and further out of grasp for the average American, right? And so now it's like, okay, I'm ready to start. I got my job, I got a little bit of savings. I want to actually start getting into real estate. First thing is, okay, don't just try to buy one multi-unit. What's your pathway to getting 10? And then from 10, 10X in that as well. But what are the necessary steps to actually own 10 multi-units for that person that's at home?
Okay, well, let's just go back to some of the things you said. Average person, okay, quit being an average person, okay? The cost of living is your problem. You're focused on the wrong problem, dude. You don't have $1 billion is the problem. The cost of living, if you just keep attacking the cost of living and goods and services, then you're always going to be stuck as the effect point. The issue is you don't have $1 billion. You with me? Okay, the issue is not the cost of a bag of groceries. The bag of groceries is a problem because you don't have enough money coming in earned income, not enough coming in, passive income, not coming in, investments not coming in, assets a schedule of assets that you manage and control. You don't have those things. Those are the real problems. As long as you think the cost of goods and services or inflation or interest rates are the problem, you're on the wrong side of the equation. Much like the ball players, like, oh man, I hurt my knee. No, bro, you didn't hurt your knee, bro. You went out on the field. The moment you agreed to go out on that field, put that uniform on, you agreed to be hurt. So if you're walking into Whole Foods, right? I mean, if you owned Whole Foods, you'd be like, I'm glad prices are going up. So now the question on the real estate, which I didn't answer your question earlier about the real estate. Why not bother with one unit? Because the number of units is the most important number in all of business. It's not the return on investment, ROI. It's not the internal rate of return. It's not the cap rate. It's the number of units. This goes back to the 10X rule. 1 times 25 is 25. 10 times 25 is 250. I want to multiply, right? I don't want to add 1 plus 25. That's 26. I have 1 unit. I raise the rents $25. That's $25. I have 10 units and I raise the rents $25. That's $250. Now, I wouldn't start with 1 unit and I wouldn't start with 10. I'd start with 32. Because when you take 32 units and you change the rents $25, which is easy to do, it's not a very difficult thing to do. If you could find 32 units and figure out how to buy it, even if you didn't have any money, figure out how to buy it, make me a partner. I can buy the 32 units. You manage them. I'll pay for them. We split the profits, okay? If you take 32 units, the reason you don't want to own one unit, bro, is there's no money for me and you to split up.
Facts.
If you raise the rents $25, you get $12 and I get $12. I don't want that piece of real estate. You follow me? Yeah. There's nothing, okay? But 32 times 25 times 12 divided by 0.06, that's 160 grand. All I had to do was figure out how to get 32 units. Now, you get 80 grand and I get 80 grand. I just got a new job without taking a new job. But I need to get to the 32 units. I need scale. I need to 10x my thinking. 320 units would be better than 32. Now, your audience is going to be like, yeah, but I don't have any money and I don't have any credit. Yeah, that's not a problem. Blackstone doesn't have any money. Jamie Dimon doesn't have any money. He's got money and doesn't use it. Warren Buffett uses other people's money.
Yeah.
They all use debt. While the average American is being taught, don't borrow money from other people, don't use debt, don't have partners. I'm sure you've been told all these things. Partners are a problem. Debt is a problem. Credit is a problem. Going public is a problem. But the richest, most well-to-do people, the guys that own yachts, bro, they're using credit, they're using other people's money, and they have partners. The richest people on this planet do not diversify their investments. They have one or two investments. Elon Musk has 5 investments. They're all companies he owns. Steve Jobs had 2 investments. He had Apple and he had Pixar. Warren Buffett made all his money in one deal. He owned so much of that one deal he couldn't own anymore without the government saying, bro, you can't own anymore. But he would have basically violated a law. It was Geico. He couldn't own any more of the stock. So he was forced to buy second stock. So all I'm doing is your audience needs to start thinking about, man, what am I being told that's not working? Back to your question, the single unit does not work. 60% of America owns a single unit and they're not rich. They own a home. Okay, a home is not a way to create wealth. I mean, if you want to get your audience going in the comments, bro, just ask them, do you think a home is an asset? And they're going to go nuts in the comments because I'm telling you, a home is a liability and only a liability. And it should not be the first thing people buy. It should be, you should not buy a home until you have about $10 million in net worth. That'll get them going.
That's a mic drop. So the first thing you said, instead of getting one unit, I said, well, no, let's go 36, 32. That sounds peanuts anyway, right? Let's go 36.
Okay.
But what you said is, come to me, I'll finance the deal and we be partners. And I find that interesting because the average person, to your point, don't have access to capital. And one of the things that we witness you building your empire, you were able to galvanize a lot of people to invest in Cardone Capital,
Cardone Capital.
How does that happen?
What you got to do is do the math. If you have $1 billion target.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to build $1 billion real estate portfolio. At the time, I didn't have any real estate. Well, if you do the math, if you do 10x math, sooner or later, you're going to be like, I cannot do this with just my money. Now, the audience always goes to, I don't have any money. Guess what? I'm probably worth $1.7 billion today. I don't have any money.
Feel it.
You guys that are broke, you don't have a job, you don't have any income, you don't have any savings. I don't either. Welcome to my world. The world of no money. I don't need any money, dude. What I need is, money's not, just because you're rich doesn't mean you have money. And just because you're poor, I know people that have a lot of money that are poor. I know people that work at Facebook. They make $1 million a year at Facebook and they still have no money left over.
Yeah.
They have no investments, no assets, nothing, dude. We talked about the ball player earlier that makes $5 or $6 or $7 million a year. 78% of them end up broke within 2 years after they end their career. Broke. Nothing. They file bankruptcy, even worse. Okay? So there is no big target that you can have that will not require other people's money. Everyone should be considering bigger goals. $1 billion target is achievable for anyone. Okay? Anyone, I'm telling you, anyone can achieve $1 billion target. And I'm only saying that because I did with nothing. So I know firsthand anyone can do this as long as you don't quit. But you're probably not going to be able to do it without raising money. And you're going to have to raise money from other people. Now people didn't just give me money, throw money at me. I had to have a story. I had to have trust. I had to have an audience. And that started with me not continuing to go to the same events over and over again. Okay. Which means you have to change your audience. So for all you guys this weekend, man, you know, every time somebody, they invite you to a party. A man told me this years ago. I got an invite to a party. He's like, "What are you doing going to parties?" I said, "What do you mean, man? I'm off this weekend." He said, "What are you doing taking off?" He said, "I thought you were going to get rich." I said, "Well, man, I got a buddy. My buddy's having a party." He said, "Let me see the invitation." He said, "You see right there? That ain't a party, son." I said, "What?" He says, "Where it says BYOB. That ain't no party, son. Bring your own bottle ain't a party." He said, "Get rich and then you'll understand what a party is." Because when you go to a rich people's party, they don't ask you to bring anything.
And it's open bar.
So the point of that story was, he's like, "Bro, if you keep hanging around the people you're hanging around, you're going to always be broke." You got to get around some new people that you
hang
don't know.
around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10. And if you hang with a lot of people that don't think big, you're just going to keep hitting the ceiling, a made up ceiling. So I love
they're going to be using that average all the time. You're going to be hearing average every minute of every day.
But listen, guys, that's it for this episode. Grant, I just want to thank you for coming on, brother. And guys, like always, make sure you like, subscribe, tell your auntie and her cousin to also subscribe and watch this episode. Until then, we'll see you next week.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.